Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about how you could prepare final presentation. First, I'm going to talk about don'ts. So most of you guys get together as a group and then Kim said, oh, now is the time to prepare the final presentation, and then Lee thinks Sue didn't contribute to the team throughout the semester, so she has to take in charge of preparing it. So he said, why don't you, Sue, take the presentation part? And Sue said, okay, everybody send me 3 slides or 4 slides by Friday night so that I can organize them. And then Jay told her, okay, I'll send you the sensor parts. And then Kim said, okay, I'll send you the Arduino parts and so on. And don't do this. Why? What will happen on the Friday night? Kim sent Sue the 4 presentation files, while Lee sent her 2 and Jay sent her 5. What should Sue do? She doesn't know the details about each part, so she can't really organize. She can really reduce how those 4 pages should be reduced by 3, and then what kind of information should be added to make the least slides to 3. So the problems are, if you just distributed the slides without, thorough discussions about how you should organize the slides, it only just mismatched information bundle. So it's very inefficient to deliver the direct message for the evaluator and then the advantage of your system. So presenter should know about what's the point that she or he should emphasize throughout the slides, and also have to make a storyline, which part I'm going to emphasize, and then try to avoid just meaningless parallel fact delivery. Okay? So let's talk about the do's. What should we do? The very first thing I would recommend you is try to make a 1-sentence summary of what you have done and why did you do it and how you could do it. I'm going to give you 2 examples. So the first sentence is, we built a safety alarming system during machining preparation with IoT sensors and VR goggle. And then you know why they've been doing to alarm the safety, to alarm the danger. For what? For the machining process, and how, using IoT sensors and VR goggle. Compared to that, I can also say the same thing in a different sentence, like, to protect students taking ME340, we developed a smart factory safety system. Which one sounds more clearer? Of course, the first one, right? So when you write a 1 sentence, try to be more specific, okay, and then concrete and informative. So once you read it over, you can get a picture of what your final system will be. Without this, if you start just making a PowerPoint without think about what is the key ideas of our system, then PowerPoint's message is distracted. Okay, so strongly recommend all of your members of your team should be agreed on the 1-sentence summary of your system. Once you've done that, you should first check your evaluation criteria and the time. Roughly, you allocate the slides proportional to the credit points. More credits, more slides, of course. And then roughly, you should estimate the total number of slides before you actually make it. I see some of the students making 40 slides when they are presenting 12 minutes English presentation. That's not, well, depending on how you make the slides, but I wouldn't recommend you to make such many slides for the short amount of time presentation. So I roughly would recommend you 1.5 slides per 1 minute. So if you're given 12 minutes, it's going to be approximately 18 slides. What I mean by 1 minute slides is something like a pretty much informative slides, like you are talking about the detailed design of your system, especially the roller design, and you mentioned about the problems, and then you mentioned about how you solved it using the design. So this is kind of typical 1 minute slides you can work on. Let me just skip it. So instead of having like too detailed information, I would recommend you to write them down something like a conceptual level, or more likely principle level. Okay, so it's kind of nice, well organized 1 minute slides, but try to provide the solution idea instead of detailed numbers. This could be a little bit busy slides for 1 minute. As you can see, there are so many equations and so on. So, and then students would know that this is not for the lecturing. Okay, students might want to deliver the idea that our group really have a thorough theoretical analysis. So our numbers and our design values are really based on the, mechanics. So I think in that kind of sense, this kind of slides are also good for 1 minute slides. A student sometimes when you are going to explain your system uses something like a flowchart type presentation. So this one is trying to deliver the operation algorithm. But when you're trying to explain it, try to make it as an animation so that when you're talking about the moving around part, this part shouldn't be showing, okay? So that the audience will actually follow your talk one by one so that they can get a big picture of how your algorithm works. Otherwise, if you're just using the laser point to indicate which part you're talking about, it's not really efficient to deliver the message. Okay, animation would help here. Okay, this doesn't look like a 1 minute slides, right? Too simple. Maybe this is a movie clip, but still there is still pretty much room that you can deliver the idea in between while you're showing the video and explaining it. For example, the title is just a simple pick up and drop up. Everybody could know if this video works well, the system will picking up the ball and then drop it off. However, I told you the final presentation is about what is the purpose of your final presentation? To get a good grades, right? So in each slide, try to make, to emphasize, to release the idea how well our system is in terms of efficiency or speed or something, and using what mechanism. Try to write them down in the title, okay, your strength. This is definitely not a 1 minute slide, too simple. And then I would say the title was creativity and innovation, which is not informative at all. It's too general. In what aspect is creative? In what aspect the system is innovative? Of course, maybe the presenter was explaining it orally. However, I would strongly recommend you to write them down explicitly why your system is creative and innovative, so that the evaluator will give you the credit while they're following your talk. Okay, so I strongly discourage you to have too many this kind of very simple slides composed by the pictures and no words, especially for the final presentation. You have to explicitly write down what is the value of your system. Okay, this is kind of slide that students just provides a neutral facts about how the pulse shape look like for your control. Not really informative, and then this is mostly what you actually studied, right? So 12 minutes not much, so try to spend more slides, spend time more on emphasizing the benefits or the firmness of your design rather than just delivering just neutral facts. So once you figure that out, the criteria and then the time, you actually have a big idea how many slides are you going to work on. And then next one is you should outline the slide. Okay, suppose that you have total 20 slides to make, and then how you can allocate your 20 slides for it. That should be aligned also your evaluation criteria. So here it says the clarity of the problem statement is 30 points, and then design appropriateness is 50 points, so you should allocate more slides for the design explanation, of course. And then there are detailed evaluation criteria here, and then they have all same 10 points. So I would just distribute the same number of slides. And then once you go one by one, you will feel like, okay, 2 slides a little bit too small, so I might use one more slide here. And then when I'm talking about the system subfunction, the subsystem function, power, signal flow, etc., I have 4 subsystems, so 2 slides is definitely not enough. So in that case, you can increase as 4. However, note that your total slide number should be appropriate for your total presentation time. So in this case, you should think about which part is that I need to I could actually reduce. Okay, overall prototype. Once I have a detailed explanations about the system overview, you can actually save your time when you're explaining your overview of the prototype. So I can reduce this one as 1. So total you have 18 number slides. Well, same for the capstone design. Compared to the engineering design, which has a really detailed sub criteria has been given, it's pretty rough. Okay, so out of 50 points, you will have 8 points that you can get throughout the presentation. And what it says was you talk about the system design, and we are going to evaluate your creativity and feasibility, how you can deliver, how you can promote your creativity and feasibility. So when you actually want to make this slides, you should really have a thorough discussion with your peers, how you can fill out the contents. And then regarding to that, I'm going to give you an advice. When you try to present the system, okay, system is a combinations of many parts, right? So first you should show them a big picture, and then divide by the subsystem explanation and integrate later. It's kind of sandwich types. That will help. So because the evaluator will listen to many talks in English over a short amount of time, so they can't really remember, and they can't really get a big picture in the very beginning by just simply listening your talk, right? So you should help them. So think about it. Suppose that I would, recommend you keep some kind of big picture slides in your beginning of your talk, and then it'll be better if you actually write them down. What are those subparts function? What are those subfunctions are? And then once you actually explain the overall picture and then overall mechanism, then you go on to each subsystem one by one. Talk about the blue part, green one, and the yellow one. Try to explain, make the slides for the blue part, for example, like vision processing or sensors. You can say, okay, since I have to talk about this, let's just enlarge the part and then make 1 or 2 titles. As far as, since you're not Steve Jobs, this is not recommended. You have to actually fill it in, explicitly say what is the function, how did you design, why you design that way. Okay, suppose that I have this big image for the subsystem and then make a title here, because it's I want to say that this is a really smart design. Do you think it's a good title? No. Why? Because it's too general. It doesn't really say why this design is smart. Even though the presenter may present it orally, I would strongly recommend you to specifically write them down here, why this is smart, okay? Why this is a good design. Some students write the title this way: Arduino received the ultrasonic sensor signals. Is this a good title? No. Why? Because it's too specific, okay? Who cares if you're using Arduino board or my real boards, etc.? It's just kind of tool. It's a kind of method. It's one of many possible methods to achieve those goals. What is the goal? What is the role of this sub function? So instead of just delivering too specific details and your neutral effects, maybe you might just write them down small here about the spec of the sensor or actuator. But when you are going to put the title or subtitle level, or when you want to talk about it, try not to talk about this. Try to talk about more about why you designed that way than how you made it. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few examples about the subsystem slides. This system have everything like what it is. So this is about the vision processing and specifically calibrating. And then how do they perform the calibration? There are some schematic here and then some formula here. And then why they're doing the calibration? Because it has an error. In actual distance and measured distance have those errors. So that's why they do perform the calibration. And what's the result? So after applying this and that, they could calibrate it, and then their error has been reduced, and then their image gets better. So this single slides have everything about the subsystem: what, why, how, and results. Of course, you don't have to plug that in everything in one slide. You can spread it out 2 or 3 slides, but keep in mind that the subsystem explanation should include its function, why you design it, how you design it, and so on. This is another example for the vision processing, and it says the performance evaluation. Oh, okay, so other than just saying that we apply this algorithm, they are actually evaluate quantitatively about their performance. So this is what part, and then how part is actually maybe this one. This one is about the how you evaluate index can be calculated. And then also they might have another slide about the details of their visual processing algorithm, and then why they're doing this. This is originally a movie, and the movie shows something like some obstacle going in and out in front of this ball, and then still the camera catches the ball position as well. That's what they want to deliver. So instead of just saying it, they actually explicitly wrote, right? So their advantage is by implementing this algorithm or this ball detection programming, they have robust performance over the various illumination conditions, and even the obstacle exists. Okay, so by looking at so many videos and tables and pretty rich slides, evaluator still knows that what is the advantage of, what is the strength of this group. Okay, they have done very well about the light variation and the obstacle. So please try to write them down explicitly about your strength, the point that you can get a point, you can get a credit. So when you distribute to your friends about the slides of their part they're charging of, try to talk about what kind of in the content should be included for that slide. Okay, what are you going to talk about this? So engineering design, the guidelines are pretty detailed, but for ME340, the Capstone design, the guidelines are a little bit vague. So you should think about be creative, and then discuss with your team members what kind of issue are you gonna include for the motor control slides, and then it's gonna be emphasizing what parts or the how parts, etc. And other than the guidelines, of course, if you have an issue that you want to emphasize, of course you should write them down. And I see many students sort of listed it up as one of the bullet of your credit points. But if you really want to emphasize, if you really think the strength of your group is how part, then try to really shine, okay? Try to really make it emphasized like this way, so that the evaluator knows that this is the point that your team can get a good grade, okay? Okay, to sum it up, before you make the slide, discuss with your friends and then make your own one sentence summary of what is the strength of your system. Okay, be specific, and then check the evaluation criteria and the time, and then set the total slides number. Okay, I see some students, just keep skipping the slides at the end by running short of time and so on. So you just set the overall maximum slides number and try to allocate it aligned with the evaluation criteria. And then when you're talking about the system, you have first provide the big picture, how it is composed by, and then go one by one for the subsystems, and then integrate it later so that the evaluator see the big picture and then the details at the same time. One final tip will be, 12-minute English presentation is pretty challenging for the presenter and the evaluator as well. So try to emphasize any good points, any strength of your system many times, at least beginning at the end, okay? Okay, so you've been working so hard. I know that throughout the semester, I'm really proud of all of you, and then try to keep up your great effort in few more weeks, and then good luck. Thank you very much.